everybody. It's Marian from Mind Body Connection with a video for you today called More About the Core. It's really a full body workout, and I am going to include some props, but all the work I do with the props you can do without the props. So don't feel that you have to use these. I just brought them out because I know a lot of our peeps have bands, rings, balls at home. And so if you do, it's just a way to create a little more work or maybe a little more support and stability throughout the workout. So I think we should just get started. So what I like to do anytime I'm doing a mat class, I like to start standing. I just like to get a sense of what you feel in your body and just sort of start to tune into you. And I'm going to start with just a little spinal warm-up and then a little wake-up for the feet that I learned in some neuro studio classes that I've taken. So the feet are so important. They give us so much feedback from our feet to our brains, and I think it's really important through every session to wake them up just a little bit. It also feels really good. So to start, let's just start with our basic roll down. Arms come up, knees are soft, big breath in, exhale, round the spine, lift the abdominals, roll down. I'm keeping my knees nice and soft here, not locking them out. My weight's a little bit more towards the ball of my foot than my heel. I'm going to take a big inhale here, and then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to rebuild that spine, letting my arms hang and my head hang until I reach that part of the spine where it lifts them up. Inhale, arms up, exhale, round. Inhale as you just release everything here. Exhale as you rebuild. Inhale up, exhale round. Inhale, release, exhale, rebuild. Inhale, arms come up, elbows bend, lift the breastbone, give yourself a little bit of back extension. You're more than welcome to look up, but don't throw your head back, just let the head look, the eyes look up. And then arms reach up. And again, inhale as you lift that breastbone, stretch the front of your body. Exhale, reach. Inhale one more time. Exhale, reach. Now we're going to bring one arm down. We're going to turn the palm in of the arm up. We're going to side bend. Now my head tilts as well, yours can. If this feels uncomfortable for your neck, you're more than welcome to look down. But you're really trying to reach through those fingertips to stretch the side body. Inhale as you come up, windmill the arms, exhale, side bend over. Think about fanning the rib cage as you breathe in and back up. And 2 more times to each side. This feels so good, and we really don't do enough of this in our daily life. And up and over. And one more time, and when I say up, I'm really reaching up through the fingertips to pull myself over, laterally stretching the spine, and up. And last one here, and all the way up. Now we're going to sit back into a squat. So weight is in the heels, back is flat, abs are sandwiching the spine. Palms are on the thighs here, shoulders are pulled back, and you're kind of looking outward. You don't want to be tucked in or cocking the head. So we're just going to start rolling through the ball of the foot or through the sole of the foot, right? All the way up to the ball of the foot, stretching those toes. That kind of feels pretty good, the toe action there. You're going to feel the quads start to fire up as you alternate that heel lift. This is really for your feet, but the benefit is warming up these big muscles here, right? We're going to go one more time to each side. We're going to put the heels down, we're going to stand up. We're going to row right back down. We're going to lift up one heel and we're going to do heel spirals, 6 of them in each direction. The only sort of rule here is that your toes are your anchor. It may not feel like a circle so much, reverse directions, but it's going to give your foot some well-needed movement. And it may feel weird, or maybe snap, crackle, pop. Put that heel down, lift the other heel up, and let's try the other side. Now I know on this side it probably looks really funny because I have a really hard time getting that spiral sort of circling action on this side, and then reversing might even be worse. Oh no, it's a little bit better. And it's all that communication to the brain, trying to figure out how do I do this, but I don't really care how it looks. I just want to get that movement in the foot. And then put that heel down, just drop forward, rounding the spine, hang like a rag doll. Knees are super bent here. Take a breath in, exhale, restack. Beautiful. So we have a little bit of a warm up. Let's come, get down onto our mat. Obviously I'm working on a Cadillac. You're probably working on a mat that's not so elevated. As I said before, I have a band, a ball, and a ring. I'm going to put them down on my secret little coffee table over here while I get us into a little work on our back. So from here we're going to go supine. The next movement is called the pelvic clock, and it's going to be really small and subtle. We're going to work on the pelvis, or the muscles, the small stability muscles in our pelvis and our low back. So I want you to think that there's a clock on your pelvis. Your belly button is 12 o'clock, your pubic bone is 6 o'clock, and then you have 3 and 9 on your hip bones. So however you see that clock in your mind, what I want you to do is take 6 o'clock and roll it up to 12, sorry, just 6 to 12 here. We're just going to do a few times. Now, if you notice, I'm not moving my rib cage, I'm not moving my shoulders, I'm not moving my face. I'm just allowing the hip bones to roll back, bringing my pelvic bone towards my belly button, and it feels delicious in my low back. And try and exhale as you curl. Now I want to try that 6 to 3, right? It's even more subtle because I'm not trying to lift a hip, I'm trying to stay stable in the pelvis and just draw that for me, 6 to 3, over to my hip bone. Here. And one more. Good. And now we're going to go over to 9. So we're going to go 6 to 9. And again, if you're not moving much, but you feel a lot of tightening in the muscles between your hip bones, you're doing it right. Okay? If you're rocking and rolling a lot, chances are you might want to think about a little less movement. Good. So now I'm going to go clockwise around the clock. So I sort of did that wrong. This is really 3 for me, and this is 9. Sorry about that. And I'm going to go to 12, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to do that again. You do this at your own pace, but don't try to rush through. There's some really important work happening here, and it does take quite a bit of concentration for me to make sure that I tick off all those numbers. Now I want to go counterclockwise. For me, this is the harder direction. It's much tighter on this side, and it doesn't have as much flexibility. So I really have to think about moving through those numbers, especially when we get down to 8, 7, 6. Yeah, those are the tough ones for me. Last one around here. Beautiful. Anytime you're feeling any kind of discomfort in your low back, that is a great little exercise just to release some of those really, really tiny little muscles there, because there's a lot of them. From here, I'm going to take a nice deep breath in, palm over palm behind the head, and I'm going to, from here, exhale, abdominal curl. 1. Exhale, 2. We're going to go for 6. 3. 4. 5. One more, and then I'm going to go right into some rotation, keeping my feet on the ground. I'm going to rotate towards my left thigh and then my right, using my opposite elbow to take me there. I'm sort of lifting that elbow up and over, and the shoulder blade on the mat, I'm pressing down into the mat a little bit, and we're going to go for 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Good. I'm going to bring my arms down by my side, and I'm just going to do a quick set of knee folds, keeping the pelvis and the torso completely anchored. Not a lot of movement between the rib cage and the hips. I want to exhale, draw my left knee into tabletop, and then bring it back down, and then the right. So I said there's not a lot of movement, but what there is an exhale to use the core to bring that knee up to tabletop. So we're working core stability again, trying to move from our core. One more to each side. Beautiful. Good. Now I'm going to bring both legs to tabletop. I'm going to point my toes, bring my inner thighs together. And then I'm going to go to toe dip. So sort of the reverse of that. I'm going to take one leg down, try to touch my toe to the floor. I can't make it without arching my back. Lots of ab work here, especially oblique. And I'm going to switch. And we're not going to go too fast, particularly because if you go fast, you just start using those hip flexors and we want core. You should feel, I feel a lot right through here. Lots. Now the other thing I have to make sure I'm not doing is gripping through my shoulders or my jaw, which is easy to do. So try not to do either of those things. And we'll go 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then one by one legs come down. We're going to add on here. We're going to come back to that abdominal curl. We're going to lift the head, chin, chest, and we're going to go into those knee folds again, holding our upper abdominals or our head, chin, chest up using those upper abdominals. We're going to go one more to each side. And then we're going to bring the legs up to tabletop. We're going to point our toes. And we're going to toe dip where we can dip, keeping the head, chin, chest lifted. I like the gaze towards the belly button. Whatever you do, don't look up here, right? So much strain on the neck. Nod the chin into the throat. Look at your belly button. Support your head with your hands. Don't pull on it. Beautiful. And then we are going to go into a rotation. So I'm going to rotate towards that opposite knee, adding an element of oblique work, right? We love our obliques. Breathing, right? Breathe naturally. Exhale mostly in the rotation. That's what I like to do. But you know what? The most important thing is you breathe. One more to each side. And center. Head, chin, chest go down. Arms go down. Tap the toes down. Whew, I'm feeling a little warm from there. So from here, what I want to do is go back to that lower body articulation. That's sort of the pelvic clock, but I want to build on it. I want to go pelvic clock, articulated into bridge, arms long. Use the back of the hands as needed, but don't overly use them. Make sure the waist and the heels. You should feel glutes and hamstrings here. And then slowly articulate down. If there's anyone that shouldn't be articulating, because you've been advised not to, then give me a hip lift, right? So our goal here is to fire up those hamstrings and those glutes and to use our core to do so, as well as to open up the front of the hips. So if articulation isn't in your plan for yourself, then don't feel you need to do it. And when I continue on with sort of the rotational articulation, you probably would want to eliminate that, okay? Exhale, curl and peel. Okay, we're gonna hold up here. We're gonna roll down onto the left side of our body. So I'm going down through the rib cage and I'm rolling down as far as I can. That's about as far as I can get without arching my back. And then I'm gonna think about kind of scooping that hip bone to pull myself back up. I'm gonna go 3 more times on this side. I'm gonna roll and hopefully it'll get a little looser. And then I'm gonna tuck and curl. Now when I'm doing this, I'm not shifting my hips. I'm really standing more on my right leg as I roll down and roll back up one more time and roll down and roll back up. Now I'm going to stabilize on the left side so I can roll through the right side of the body. I know this may be hard for you to see and scoop back up, but I think you kind of get it, and you'll notice that my knee on this left side that's stabilizing is not winging out to the side of the room, right? It's staying knee over foot, knee in line with hip. I'm going to go 2 more times, I think. Beautiful. And one more time. And up, and then articulate down through center. Beautiful. That kind of builds into our next exercise, which is just really creating some mobility in our pelvis, is typewriter. So those of us who are old enough to remember typing on a typewriter and then Return was manual. It wasn't a key on the keyboard. So we have to go back to those days. And people who are watching this that don't know what I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. I'm sure there's a video. But for this moment, that's the imagery that I'll use, is we're gonna come and just lift the hips straight up. So we want the hips level. If you want to put your hands on your hips to support you, you're more than welcome. Or I'm going to sort of use my fingertips to cue myself, because I want to imagine that I typed and that typing bar went over, and then I'm just going to slide my hips back or to the left, and then I'm going to slide those hips back over. So the challenge here is not to dip a hip. It's just this small movement of sliding. My rib cage stays stable. I'm actually thinking about disassociating my hips from my ribs, and I can feel I'm tight on the left side as I slide back and forth. It just doesn't go as far on one side than the other, and you're probably the same way. Don't push beyond. It's important just to find the hips. The knees aren't gliding side to side. They're really super stable. I'm gonna do one more, and boy, can I feel my glutes. And center, and then drop the hips down. Bring the knees to the chest. Give yourself a hug. Maybe a little circling motion here. And then the other way. Now, if you're not someone who likes to roll, like rolling like a ball, then please just roll to your side and come on up. If you like to roll like a ball, you're gonna hug those knees, you're gonna lift your head and roll yourself up. And we're gonna come all the way up. We're gonna round over, grab the toes, restack the spine, plug the shoulders back, and then roll it down. Now, legs can be together, legs can be apart. Arms overhead, breath in, exhale, roll up and over. I'm going to show you one of my favorite variations. I'm going to reach down here and grab my ring. I'm going to put my ring between my ankles on the soft gray spot. I'm going to give that ring a squeeze. I'm going to flex my feet, and I'm going to roll down as slowly as possible. Using my core, I'm going to keep that squeeze on the ring as I breathe in. Really kind of fires up those lower abdominals if you have a ring. Otherwise, you can still do this exercise without using any props. It's a classic roll up. This is just a modification. The other reason I like this modification is tuning into those lower abdominals. I'm able to use them on the way up and sort of get out of those hip flexors that, for me, my hip flexors like to do everything. Like that one. Stay rounded, grab those toes, take a stretch. You can even bring both hands to one side. That sometimes feels good on the side body. Bring both hands to the other side. I'm not squeezing the ring in this moment. Come to center and restack your spine. So, anyone who's done the roll-up knows that there's always a moment where you have to fix your pants. So, take the moment to do that. Then we are going to go into some rolling back. So, with this, I'm just going to change my position so you can see me a little bit better. Grab a band if you have one. If you don't have one, most of these movements can be done isometrically, meaning, so if we're in our roll back and we're opening and closing your arms, you can fire up your muscles and open, close right in that moment. If not, try eliminating the arm movement if you want to. So, what I'm going to do here is sit up nice and tall, make sure I'm centered. I'm going to take the band. I'm going to keep my hands about shoulder width apart so it's not too tight. And I'm going to bring my legs together. You can have your soles on the feet on the floor, or if you find it bothers your feet and your hip flexors, you can always flex like this. Sitting up tall, plugging those shoulder blades in. I'm going to roll back, pull my band apart. That's my inhale. Exhale, roll back up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. So you should feel core. You should feel those posture muscles, right? Last one here. Beautiful. And now I'm going to roll down and I'm going to pull that band apart with my right arm, following that hand, and roll back up. The arm that's not pulling you around in rotation stays straight, right in line with the shoulder, which sometimes can be a hard thing to do. Again, shoulder blades are plugged into your back here. And we're going to go for 4, and up, and 3, and up, and 2, and up, and 1, and up. And just round forward in case you want your hip flexors or your back. You can take a little break there. The other modification I just want to show you for the next piece of it is if you have a small ball, you can do that same series. You want the ball to support you kind of in your low back. So you roll back, and you would do the same series. Now we're taking the band behind us, okay? And I sort of already rolled back, and I'm gonna give a little hug-a-tree. So I'm rounding up and rolling back, and rounding up and rolling back, right? If you find your ball is a little bit too small, you might find it rolls away from you, and that might not be too comfortable. The other thing is when you use the ball, you're not coming up to that tall seated posture. Either way works, okay? From here, I'm gonna go from hug-a-tree to a nice forward row. So I'm sort of thinking about punching forward as I round up and roll back. 3, and 2, and 1, and then we're going to turn that into rotation. We're going to punch over the opposite knee as we round up. And these get pretty intense, especially with that resistance coming from behind. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then come to center and roll yourself all the way up. Beautiful. We're going to take that band. We're going to place it to the side, and I've done a lot of flexion, so I'm going to come over onto my stomach, and I'm going to do a little prone work. Prone work is on your stomach. I'm going to go hand over hand, resting my forehead, chin on my hand. For me, it's my chin, so I can get those shoulder blades back and down. My feet are flat. I'm kind of pressing the tops of them into the mat. And from here, I want to really make sure I plug those shoulders down into my back pockets. Kind of think about my elbows drawing towards my waistline, and that kind of activates the muscles that will draw them down my back. From here, I'm going to push my hands into the mat, lift the head, chin, chest, staying in my upper back, not my lower back. Inhale, back down. So I'm starting with that exhale up to try to keep the core engaged. But in a moment, we will change it to an inhale up. And one more time. Good. Once you think you have yourself sorted, then I want you to take the hands with you and inhale up, exhale down. So this is where it gets a little more challenging, right? The first exercise was actually fairly easy compared to this. And this range of motion is much smaller. That's okay. That means you're working more deeply. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Now I'm going to inhale up. I'm going to take one arm out to the side, bend it in. Exhale the other arm out to the side, bend it in. Take a breath in as I lift up a little higher if I can. Exhale down. Inhale, lift, alternating the arm that reaches out to the side. And down. And inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. And exhale. Inhale. Sorry, that was an exhale. And inhale. Sorry, and down. Beautiful. Sorry. Beautiful, Marion. You're doing a great job, just in case no one told you. So weird working on videos when you're not seeing other people, but it's all good stuff. So from here, we're going to add a little rotation. We're going to do the same exact thing we just did. Make sure the pelvis is anchored, tops of feet are down, and we're going to just take everything and peek over to the right and center, and take everything and peek over to the left and center and down. So everything stays connected here as you lift up, hand stayed on your chin or forehead as you peek over to the left, the right, center, and down. And 2 more times here, you're gonna lift over to the side, over to the left, and down. And 1 more time, you're gonna lift up, you're gonna go to the left, and the right, and center, and down. And then we're gonna push back into rest. I like big toes together, knees apart, palms pushing into the mat, head bowed. Give that low back a break. If you'd like an upper back stretch, flip those palms, stretch the arms out in front of you. Beautiful. Flip the palms. And then from here, let's go to a little sideline work, okay? So in past videos, we had you all the way down with probably a yoga block, hand here, or maybe resting on your forearm. Today, if you like, and you feel you can do it, come up to your forearm. You can have a flat hand or a fist. What you have to be mindful here is we don't want to slump into this. You have to be able to keep that shoulder in your back pocket and kind of engage those armpit muscles. Legs will be straight and strong, just like always. You can always bring your toes to the front corner of the mat, but ultimately we want hip, rib, shoulder alignment, abs engaged. Lengthen out the top leg a little longer and give me a straight leg lift and lower. Now I have my hand on my hip. You could have your fingertips supporting you on the mat. You could also, more challenging, put the hand behind the head. So it's up to you and what works for you. What I do want you to be mindful of is this is outer hip work. So the hip bone should not be doing anything like that, right? So we want to keep this nice underneath lift and the stability. From here, we're gonna lift up. You're gonna lengthen that leg longer than you think it can be and circle for 8 and 7 and 6 and 5. It starts to build up here. 2, 1, reverse directions. And if at any point in time you need to come down to the mat with your upper body, go right ahead. No heroes here, right? Let's do it right. And 2 and 1 into side kick. We're gonna kick twice. 1, 2, point, slowly reach back, hold that core stability, and kick, kick, point, reach, kick, kick, point, reach, kick, kick, point, reach. You got it. 4, 4. Doing 8 of these. 3, 3. 2, 2. 1, 1. Beautiful. Stay where you are. Bend your knees, flex your feet. We are going to try a version of side plank, okay? So we still are here connected into our shoulder if you need to clump, and then come back up into it, do so. Press into the ground with your forearm, lift the hips, lower the hips, right? So side plank with bent knee, right? It's a good way to build up the strength of the obliques, to get yourself up here. We're gonna do 1 more and we're gonna hold. We're gonna extend the top arm. We're gonna rotate, thread the needle. Inhale, open up. We're gonna do that 3 more times. We're gonna thread the needle, open back up, and thread, open back up, and thread, open back up, and hips down. Beautiful. Let's roll onto the back for transition. So on our back, we're gonna go back to a bridging series, but this is less about mobility and more about true strengthening. So with that said, arms long by your side. Let's lift and lower the hips 4 times. You could always put a ball between your thighs to keep the knees from widening, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. Good. So this is the 4th one. I'm going to take it into a march. 1 leg up to tabletop, and then the other. I'm really thinking about keeping everything engaged so there's minimal hip dipping, trying to keep everything stable. And we're going to go for 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Good. And then drop the hips down. Take a breath. Lift the hips back up. This time the leg will come to tabletop and extend. We got lots of weight on that left foot. We're going to hip dip down, up, about halfway. I am thinking about my right leg reaching up to the ceiling and trying to keep my big toe on that ceiling if I can. 2 more. 1 more. Hold. Switch. Takes a moment to think about the switch. Yep. And then dip. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower that leg, lower down, take a breath. We're so almost done. And if that's it for you, you can stop there, but I'm going to take it one level higher. I'm going to lift the hips. I'm going to fix my ponytail. And then I'm going to take that right leg back up, and I'm going to flex down to about knee-high, point up. Flex down, point up. Flex down, point up. We're going to do 6. I'm trying not to rely too much on my lower body. And 1 more. Bend your knee, replace the foot. Transition. Flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point. 2 more. 1 more. Replace the foot. Take a breath in, hips down, knee into chest. Hug. Woo! Roll to the side, come on up. We're going to do the other side of sideline. So, come over onto this side, just making sure I have enough room everywhere. On my forearm. Find my alignment, shoulder, rib, and hip. Stretch to the legs, lift to the waistline. Good, and then we're going to lift and lower. Yep, trying to keep the length through the waistline. 8 of each. So much fun. 3. I'm having fun, did you know that? 2. And 1. Hold here into circles. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reverse those circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Side kick. It's kick, kick, point, reach. That's 1. Kick, kick, point, reach. Kick, kick. It's an inhale. 3, 2, kick, kick, point, reach. 1. Bend the knees, right? So we're setting up for our modified side plank. I have to move a little forward because my feet are off the mat, not good. And then we're going to lift, lower. And you're kind of lifting from the underneath of your body, right? Any shoulder issues, you can come to the hand, or you can omit this. You can also do a very small one, laying all the way down. And last one, we're going to extend that top arm, threading the needle for 1, extend, 2, extend, 3, 4, and down. Whew. Now we're going to come up and over onto all 4s. Actually, I lied. Before we do that, let's just a little more prone work here. We're going to come down onto our stomachs. Now let's do a little baby swan, okay? So I like palms flat, elbows tucked in. I sometimes say chicken wings tucked in. Pressing into the forearm, just sending my breastbone towards the front of the room. Feels delicious. And roll down. Shoulders are drawn down my back. And 2 more. Inhaling and exhaling. And 1 more. Inhaling and exhaling. And then inhaling and seeing if maybe I can come up a little higher, lifting those elbows, but they're not winging out to the sides of the room as I roll back down. Now, some people can go straight up to a straight arm. My low back's not quite ready for that this morning, this afternoon, so I'm just going to take it easy on it. I'm going to go where it's telling me it would like to go. I'm getting a really good stomach stretch here. And that's really nice because I'm going to roll down and I'm going to roll back onto my back, and we're going to go into the magical series of 5. Okay, joking. Magical series of 5. Set myself up a little lower here. Knees into the chest. It's always nice to release the low back. One hand on the inside of the knee, outside hand on the ankle, extend your left leg, lift the head, chin, chest, right? So I'm trying not to hike a hip here. So I'm not as concerned about how far I pull my knee in. I want to make sure my hips stay in alignment. And then we're going to switch. Switch. This is single leg stretch. You're probably all familiar with it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab your ankles. I'm not going to stop between these, but feel free to and give your neck a break. So I'm going to make sure I'm looking at my stomach muscles. My head, chin, chest are lifted. Inhale, extend arms and legs. Exhale, circle in. Two more. One more. And then I'm going to reach one leg straight up, one leg straight down, okay? My legs tend to be pretty flexible, so I'm able to reach up for this shin. But if you're really tight, I'd rather see your legs straight and hold on to, or just gently reach for your hamstring or your thigh, okay? Doesn't matter. You can pulse twice and switch, looking at my stomach muscles. That's about 4 sets. 5, 6, legs up, heels together, toes apart, hand behind your head. So now my neck gets a little break because I'm helping to lift it up. Still with my gaze at my stomach muscles. I want to squeeze my heels. Inhale, legs away. Exhale, pull up. I'm only lowering these legs as far as I can without going into my low back. Inhale away, exhale, pull up. Inhale away, exhale, pull up. 2 more. Inhale away, exhale, pull. 1 more. Inhale away, exhale. Knees bend. Back to the single leg stretch position. Adding rotation for crisscross. You got it. And we have 8 and 7 and 6 and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees in, give them a hug. Oh, that's a real warming up. All right, so we are going to come on up and we are going to come onto all fours. Now with all fours, if you have any wrist issues, you're more than welcome to put your WAGs on. Roll the end of your mat back so you can elevate the heel of your hand. It's always an option. You can also make fists, or forgot to bring these over, so I'm going to grab them right now. You can grab a couple weights that you can hold on to. This is kind of my new favorite way to do this. So once we get into this position, knees under hips, hips width apart, hands lined up underneath the shoulders with the elbows straight, right? So your head is forward of your arms. From here, I'm going to do some sternum drops. So the arm stays straight. I sort of draw my shoulder blades together on my back, which allows my sternum to drop forward on the front of my body. Then I push down through my hands to separate those shoulders. Kind of feels good. Nice mobility work here in the scapula. Nice retraction, protraction action, right? We'll do 2 more. 1 more. Beautiful. Then we're going to hold the sternum drops. Gave my upper body a nice release. Now I'm going to go to my lower body. I'm going to find my tailbone. That's the very base of the spine, so to speak. And I'm going to go back to clock action. So we did it with our pubic bone. Now I have to find my tailbone, and I want to go clockwise around the clock. I'm not trying to get my rib cage and thoracic spine involved in this. I am just trying to go around the clock with my tailbone. Keep it in the pelvis. And then we're going to reverse. This is always a little bit harder. Ooh, came to me simply today. That's good. Must mean my brain is awake. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Some nice fundamentals for you. Good. So from here, reset yourself. Make sure the shoulders are down, the abs are in. And let's start with some alternating leg extensions. Good. I'm actually going to move down a little bit because I realize I'm going to hit something in a moment. So we have our alternating leg extensions. We're going to add the opposite hand. Thumb up I like. Easier for the shoulder. Right? Try not to arch the back. And then on this, actually this next one, we're going to pause, okay? More important than what's in the air is what is supporting you on the mat. So make sure there's a connection between the left hand and the right knee here. And we're going to go out to the side and in. Out to the side and in. Out to the side and in. Last one. These are kind of hard because I don't want my torso to move when I'm doing it. Going up to the other side. I'm going to organize myself. The right palm's pulling towards the knee to the hand, and then with stability and core engagement, I'm going to open and close. Of course, you can eliminate these. And one more. Good, and bring the hand down and the knee down. Let's go one more set to each side. Yeah, find your stability. The flatter you can keep that right top of foot, it'll make it a little easier here if you're not going to cramp, that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to 6 this time. 5, 6. Good. Bring the hand down, bring the knee down. Reset. Nice. And then open, close. Open, close. 3 more. 3, 2, 1. Good. Hand and knee down. Sit back into your child's pose. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my weights for this next stretch here. It's called Wag the Tail, or a version of Wag the Tail. I'm not classically trained, so if you're classical and you're watching this, I'm sure you're picking up on a few little tidbits. I'm more of a contemporary teacher. But with this is my Wag the Tail, okay? So we're back in that all fours position. I'm going to lift up my left foot. My knee stays on the mat. I'm going to let that foot pivot out to the left, and I'm going to turn and look at it. And then I'm going to pivot that foot across this to the other side of my body, to the right, and look at it. So, and this really feels good on the side body in a different way than a lateral stretch feels. And one more to each side. Come to center. Good. We're going to lift up the right foot. We're going to pivot out to the right and look. Pivot across to the left. Knee stays down. You're just pivoting that foot from side to side, getting some beautiful lateral flexion. And side, and center. And let's sit back into that rest. One more time. Stretch the arms forward. We're going to come back up, and we're going to finish up with some planking. So I'm going to go back to using the weights, but again, wags, roll back the end of your mat to elevate the heel of your hand, what works for you, fists. I'm going to go step right back into my plank, taking a moment to make sure I'm really organized, right? And then I'm going to rock. I'm going to push myself forward and back. And I'm doing this mostly with my legs, but I'm trying to keep those shoulder blades wide. I just noticed I was looking down a little bit, so I want to get my gaze a little more forward, not out and up, just a little different. I'm going to go 2, I'm going to go 1, I hope that's about 8 to 10, and come on down. Breathe in, sit back. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to come up and I'm going to do some single leg rocking, all right? So what does that mean? So I'm going to take my left leg up, I'm going to try to keep my pelvis level and stable as well as the rest of my body, and I'm going to rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last one is 8. I'm going to lower the leg. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to take a moment to reorganize, and then I'll rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. I'm going to lower the leg and come on down. Woo! We have one more plank to do. It's a hold. It's a 10-second hold, which in the scheme of things probably isn't too long. But after you've done all this, it kind of feels pretty long. So here we go. Let's step right into it. Organize yourself. Should we go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. Beautiful. Beautiful. Big toes together, knees apart. Child's pose. Yep, sit back. You can circle your wrists. You make some fists, curl those hands into itself just to release your wrist. And then come on up. We're going to do a couple of cool down stretches. So we're going to come back to that all fours position, nice and neutral to start. And then we're going to exhale. Nose to tail, tail to nose. Inhale, articulate first through the low back, coming through the upper back, chest is forward, tail is up, gaze is forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, articulate in the opposite direction, extension. Exhale, round. Inhale, extend. Beautiful. So we're going to finish up with some mermaid, and I'm going to give you a couple of variations on the mermaid. Just move these out of the way. So depending on your hips, if you're uncomfortable sitting in what we call a mermaid seat or a Z-sit, then just sit, legs together, feet on the floor if you can. If not, they can just hang out there. Inner thighs together if you can, and then you're just going to take your outside arm, you're going to reach up, you're going to side bend over, you're going to gently use your opposite hand to support you. The elbow does bend, so the shoulder comes out of your earlobe. You're going to stretch, and you're going to lift up, okay? And that will be your movement. You do it on both sides, but you'll follow me along with the rest of the movement that we're going to do in this, except for one, which I'll tell you. So if you're comfortable sitting in a Z-sit, we'll fold our legs into each other. You'll be sitting mostly on one hip, then the other. So from there, we're going to do that same exact thing. We're going to side bend over, breathing in, exhaling lift, and we're going to side bend over the other side. So we're just going to get this sort of alternating range of motion or undulation of the spine and rib cage. It feels pretty good here. And one more time. And then back up and over. And if you're here and you can, add a rotation. So when you rotate, you may find that you're really tight and you can only get your hand to your thigh, maybe to the knee, maybe you can wrap it around to the shin. What we want is that outside shoulder to come down. You're looking down at your thigh and you're getting a nice back stretch. Big breath in here. Big breath out. And then untwist. And let's come over to the other side. But first, before you go up and over, let's place the palm down and straighten the top leg. So if you have your knees bent and you're sitting with your legs hanging off the table, or you're just sitting with your legs out in front of you on your mat, then this would not probably be something that you'd be able to do. Okay, so from this, the top leg is straight, you've folded the bottom leg in. We're gonna lift the hip and fan ourselves over, okay? So we're stretching through the big toe, through the fingertips, big breath in here, and exhale, come on down. So just going back to this seated position, pretty much you're just gonna side bend over from side to side. Those are gonna be your movements, and you'll also add the rotation if you can, okay? But the rest of the movements, I realize after saying you could follow along, don't really make too much sense for you. Okay, so feet flexed on the other side, Z-sit, sitting on the one hip. Just notice it feels different. Don't force the opposite hip onto the floor, okay? Palm down, reach up, side bend over. Make sure that bottom elbow bends so the shoulder doesn't go up to your earlobe. And then come on up. Just a nice way to find your breath. And cool yourself down. Add the rotation wherever that is for you. Remember, you're rotating into the movement, not away from it. Relax the shoulder, looking down, breathing in and out. Untwist, come on up. Place the palm down, straighten the top leg, fold the bottom leg into you. Lift up, side bending over, reaching through your big toe, overhead through your fingertips. Big breath in and out. And then come on down. Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that these videos are providing you with some movement while we can't have you here in the studio. Hopefully this will work out and we'll be back at work together. But in the meantime, please be well, be safe, be happy, and keep moving. Take care.